All right, so Biden's second proposal to reach out to Bernie Sanders supporters is student loan debt forgiveness. And when I heard this, I was like, whew! I was like, now we talking. But then I read the proposal and I was like, that's why you always got to read the details and the fine print, especially in politics, because to me it doesn't go nowhere near far enough. And let me explain why. The reason why I say this is because it only forgives undergraduate debt and only undergraduate debt of individuals that went to public colleges. Now, I feel a certain way about this, not because I went to a private undergraduate college, because I actually went to a state university for my undergrad. Now, I went to a private school for grad school, but this proposal doesn't even touch grad school. So, why do I have a problem with this? Well, for one thing, sometimes um, the reason why people go to private schools is because they couldn't get accepted to the state schools. Now, that doesn't happen all the time. Sometimes it's the opposite. But I think it's a misconception that people have, like, you know, all private schools is better than all public institutions. No, there's a bunch of different private schools. Not all private schools is like Harvard or Yale or, Ivy League school. Some private schools admission standards is similar to public institutions, and sometimes even less, depending on the private school you go to. And some people would say, well, why would you go to that private school if it costs more money? Well, if you couldn't get into that public institution for that program, sometimes you had to go to that private school. Sometimes a private school will have a particular program that maybe the public institution don't have in your area, because it's all area specific. So there's a variety of different reasons why people go to private schools. It's not just rich people going to private colleges and universities. I think that's a misconception that people have. It's very area specific. So I want to get that out there. So to me, it doesn't make much sense, because the goal of student loan debt forgiveness is to get people from out of crippling student loan debt. That's the whole purpose of the policy. Now, if you leaving out people that went to private colleges, you leaving out a boatload of people that are suffering right now for student loan debt. And that's the reason the policy was proposed in the first place. And for a lot of individuals that went to private schools, their student loan debts is higher, and in some cases, depending on the private school they went to, they're not making any more money than the people that went to public institutions. So the policy is not doing what it was meant to do. Simple. So yeah, I have a problem with this proposal, and I also think it should forgive grad school debt too. I think all student loan debt in general need to be forgiven. Why? Because the cost of college and going to school has skyrocketed over the last few decades. It wasn't always this expensive to go to school, so we need to do something about it. And student loan debt forgiveness is a start, along with making college tuition free. Now, I don't have a problem with um, uh, a bill stating that, okay, tuition free college is only for public institutions. I think that's fine. But we have to acknowledge how we got to this point in the first place, with the cost of going to college skyrocketing. So, we have to acknowledge that. I think we have to address it, and we have to fix that problem. Forgive all student loan debt. And again, you could do this. You don't need to go through Congress. I mean, Trump just did this. I think last year. Yeah, about last year, he did this for veterans that have disabilities. For disabled vets, he forgave their student loans. And the executive branch, you have the power to do this. One of the few things you can do not, I won't say few things, but one of the major things you can do without the approval of Congress. You can just direct the Department of Education to forgive all student loan debt, and that's what we need to do. So, um, will this attract more younger voters to buy in? Maybe a few, but I think a lot of them will still be unhappy with this proposal because I am as well. I think that the proposal is lacking. Again, just like his healthcare proposal is lacking. But this is Biden for you, you know. This is why I didn't want him as a nominee. To be perfectly honest, I'm not a big Biden fan. I am going to vote for him over Trump, just because I think the courts are very important for policies that I care about. With a 7-2 Supreme Court majority, and not to mention all the right wing extremists he put in the two lower courts, it's going to be hard to get any progressive policy through a court system that's stacked like that, or any policy, like, let's just say, because I know a lot of younger black people and black people in general don't are talking about not voting because the Democrats don't do what they need to do, and you know, trust me, I definitely feel y'all on that. But if you really want reparations, I don't know how you're gonna get reparations through with a string right wing judges, because anything, if something like reparations pass, or something like, or for my progressive allies, something like Medicare for all, if that pass, conservatives will challenge it right away. And when it gets challenged, is more than likely, if if it's a 7-2 majority for conservatives on the Supreme Court, and the two lower courts are filled with right wing judges, that they're going to throw the law out. So that's why it's important that we don't reelect Trump. So that reason alone is enough to vote for Biden, and if you go for policy, even though Biden is really not that good, and he got a terrible record on most stuff, his record is better than Trump. Even, and that's not saying much. That's a very low bar. But you know, policy for policy, record for record, he's better than Trump. And again, that's not saying much. I'm not a fan of Biden, but I think we should strive to do less damage, and then regroup and rally around a different strategy to take over Congress, take over local governments, and do it that way. Do the groundwork. Don't just not vote and make the situation worse. The Supreme Court has already taken away voting rights. I could go on and on about that. So even though I don't like Biden, I'm going to vote for him. Just policy, the student loan forgiveness policy, not great, but again, it's better than what Trump is proposing. So that's basically Biden campaign in a nutshell. I'm not great, but I'm better than Trump, and I don't know if that's enough to win. We'll see. We'll see. But I think he's going to have to make greater strides to reach out to younger voters if he's really serious, in my opinion. But we'll see. All right. Thanks for tuning in. Don't forget to subscribe. Click that notification bell. This is what I do. I break down policies, just chop it up with it. Um, I'm working on a series for y'all. I did the first Flash in Black, the American Presidency, George Washington. Check that out in the playlist. I did hip hop inspiration quotes. Check that out. Those coming. I got a series about historical beefs coming up. You know, consciousness and comics. I got episodes coming out there. I'm working for y'all, working for y'all. So don't forget, share the video, subscribe, notification bell. Peace.